102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.
Well, I had basically a near-death experience today. No, it's actually more just like I went to hot yoga for the first time in a little while. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Let me tell you, I never want to scare you away from going to hot yoga because it is so, it's objectively so good for you. It feels so good. It's relaxing most of the time. Today, though, I went to a class that I hadn't been to this instructor or this type of class. I thought I was just getting into, the downward dog and the upward vinyasa and all these other yoga words. Relaxing, stretching, certainly challenging because it's like body weight based and core based, but thought I was just, going to like your standard hot yoga class. This one was called Yoga Sculpt. When we started jumping rope and doing boxer drills at the beginning, I knew I was in trouble. So anyways, great workout. I'm still trying to recover. My Fitbit yelled at me, said I was at too high of a heart rate. I think I burned like 910 calories. So I'm feeling great, and I'm feeling even better because one of the best weekends of the year is upon us. The Masters underway. And how about Justin Rose? I don't know how he does it. We're going to talk Masters, but let's get through what we're going to talk about, then we'll get into the Masters, because I don't know how Justin Rose continues to do this on day one, but then seems to never figure out how to actually win the tournament. But we will talk Masters right off the top. We'll also talk a little bit of NBA here right off the top. We'll also talk a little Grizz football right here right off the top. I also was trying to connect with our good friend of the show, former NBA player Josh Huestis. I'm on the board of directors, or I shouldn't say the board. I don't know what I'm on. I help select stuff for the Montana Elite Invitational, nominating kids. The committee, they don't want their identities known because they're local high school coaches and stuff like that. I don't care if people know. I just like high school basketball, and I try to nominate as many good kids as I possibly can, and then I let everybody else kind of debate on who gets to go. The rosters are out for the Montana Elite Invitational. It's coming up late May in Butte. It used to be in Great Falls. It's in Butte this year, so that'll be fun. And Josh is tied up today. He's doing some coaching during the time slot today, so he's going to join us next week, and we'll talk through these rosters. But I wanted to just get the news out there of who made each of the teams, the boys and the girls teams. We picked 28 of the best boys, 28 of the best girls each year, and then they go and play this sort of round-robin style. There's 4 teams of 7 on each side, and they play this round-robin tournament. And all the college programs in the state, basically, most of them at least, send coaches, and it's a great place for them to get recruited. So we'll do that here in hour number 1. We'll also talk about some of the best individual track and field marks from the first couple weeks here of the spring sports season. Hour number 2, we got a treat for you. If you're watching on SWX Montana Television, stream it on the ESPN MT app or on YouTube, you get the big unveil. You get to see Carolyn. Carolyn, the Chicken Doesn't Know Sports. We recorded earlier today. We have new technology now where we can not just record the audio, but we can also record the video. We can also then splice it right into this broadcast, so you get to see what Carolyn looks like for the first time. Not that it matters. I mean, it's the hilarity that you're here for and the great radio voice, but there's always been sort of an aura of mystery around it because all of our other consistent contributors are almost always on the show with me live, and so you see them standing right there, live and in person. I know Carolyn has a social media following. She promotes the show on there, so you've probably seen her on there. Her and I post pictures quite a bit because she seems to think that pictures of me and us drum up interest in the show. I think only half that equation is probably true. I don't think that there's a lot of interest in pictures of me for any purpose, but certainly I get the notion. So you'll see Carolyn and hear from Carolyn at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. And we also have our latest installment touching on the Grizz lacrosse team. Jeff Safford sat down with the goalkeeper for the Grizz lacrosse team as they are now into the stretch run of their season. Feels like it goes by so fast. And it does. So it will help preview the end of the regular season here with a goalkeeper for one of the better teams in the MCLA Division II in collegiate lacrosse. So there you go. That's what's coming up here on the show. So Justin Rose, I mean, he's been a name. He's been a very solid player that's been in the top 25 probably in the country in the world rankings for years and years. He was number one for about 13 weeks back in 2018, so he has certainly reached super high heights. He has always been very competitive in majors. He won the U.S. Open in 2013. That is his lone major championship win. But he also has finished second 3 times at the Masters. He's finished as high as third at the PGA Championship, and he has 2 runner-up finishes at the Open Championship, including last year. He finished runner-up at the Open Championship. So he is a very talented golfer. He's 44 years old, so it's not like he's, 2 feet in the grave here. But given how many great young players there are, it is just sort of crazy that he is so good on the first day of the Masters so often. I mean, he has been the first round leader 6 times in his career, and if today's score holds, which unless Ludwig Oberg gets a couple birdies here, I guess he'd have to go 3 straight birdies to even get close to Rose. Rory McIlroy has 3 holes left to play. He's at 2 under. But Rose shot a 7 under 65 today. So he's now led this tournament after the first day 6 times. 6 times in let's see, about 18 entries into the Masters. He didn't play in 2000, 2001, 2002. He played in 2003, 2004, then not again in 2005 and 2006. And then he's played every year since then, since 2007. So 17 straight years, and then 2 before that. So 19 total Masters appearances for Justin Rose. And he's finished the first round in first place 6 times. He's never won, though. He has finished in the top 10 a whole variety of times, 5 different times. So getting off to a good start and finish top 10 in Augusta is nothing to sneeze at. But he's a talented enough golfer that you'd think that he might be able to figure out a way to sneak in and win one. But if he was to do that when he was 44 against this field, that would also be a huge storyline. I just think it's interesting. You have to wonder if maybe he knows how to manage the course. He knows how to attack the course early. But maybe the grueling nature of this, I think people forget. Most of these pros will tell you that Augusta National is one of, if not the toughest tournament in terms of the physical demands of it that they play all year. On television, it just looks like the greenest, nicest place on earth, right? And it is. It is so hilly. You're walking up and down, up and down. You're talking almost 8,000 yards worth of terrain here, and there's a ton of elevation changes. This year, it's played at 7,555 yards today, this weekend. But there's so much variable elevation change. It's a really tough course to walk. So maybe that's a factor. Maybe Rose just runs out of steam. Maybe everybody else just figures it out. Maybe Rose gets eaten alive by the way that the course evolves. It gets harder as the weekend goes along. I don't know, but that's just an amazing stat. To put this in perspective, even if you can just strictly understand the math, 1/3 of his entries he's been in first place after the first round. Even that itself would seem impressive to anybody that follows golf. But this is the most first round leads that anybody's ever had. That's including Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and all the great players that ever played in this tournament. Nobody has taken a lead into Friday as many times as Justin Rose. It's just sort of crazy that he's never won a major. Nipping on his heels, though, Corey Connors is a guy that Andrew Schmidt highlighted that he thought might have a chance to make a little bit of a run. He's a great young player. He shot a 68 today, as did Scotty Scheffler, winner of 2 out of the last 3 majors. It's funny because Scotty looked like he was just ho-humming it during this round. there was a lot of guys that rode the absolute roller coaster. Like, for example, Jordan Spieth had 5 birdies and an eagle today, and he barely he didn't even break par. He shot a 73 1 over. So he had way more birdies than Scotty. Scotty had just a bogey-free round. He had 4 birdies and no bogeys and 14 pars, and boom, there he is sitting in a tie for second place at 68. Tyrrell Hatton, who's another young golfer that I think a lot of people were high on coming into this tournament, he finished at 3 under. Oberg, who's the amateur now turned prodigy. I mean, he's the guy that everybody thinks is going to be the next one. He's such an impressive talent. He's already had some great moments. Has not won a major yet. But he's been lighting it today. He has birdies on 3 of the last 4 holes to move to 3 under, and he still has 3 holes left to play. So we'll see if he can close the gap and maybe get alone in second there ahead of Corey Connors. Aaron Rye was in first place. He started 4 under through 6. Fell back a little bit, but he shot a 70, as did Harris English and Jason Day. Rory McIlroy's in the same group with Oberg, so that's a powerhouse group for sure. And McIlroy is 2 under through 15. Bryson DeChambeau is in the group behind him. That's the last group on the course. And Bryson sits in a tie for 6 with Rory at -2. He's through 14. Then reputable names that shot 71s, that's 1 under today, include Michael Kim, Cam Smith, Freddie Couples, the old guy, still's got it a little bit, shooting a 71 today. Brian Harmon, Minwoo Lee, Patrick Reed, former Masters champion Bubba Watson. Matthew Fitzpatrick is right there with 1 under with 1 to play. Shane Lowry's playing in Bryson DeChambeau's group. How about that for entertainment value? Lowry's as funny and portly as there's as anybody on tour. DeChambeau's just as jacked and as ferocious of a swinger as there is on tour. That'd be a really fun group to watch. So those guys are all. Lowry's also through 14 and he's 1 under. And then the guys that shot right there at even. I won't list all of them, but it includes Cam Young, Colin Morikawa, who was one of the betting favorites coming into this thing. Joaquin Niemann, who I thought was a dark horse in this thing. Sergio Garcia, who's a former Masters champion. He's right there at even as well. Victor Hovland, Sungjae Im, Sahith Theegala are all there right at even as well. Other reputable names that failed to break par today. Justin Thomas is 1 over. Jordan Spieth is 1 over. Xander Schauffele is 1 over. Hideki Matsuyama, who's always had great success at the Masters, he is also 1 over. Will Zalatoris, Happy Gilmore's caddy, he's 2 over. JT Poston is 2 over. Other reputable names, Dustin Johnson is 2. He shot a 74. Brooks Koepka is almost done. He's sitting there at 2 over. Phil Mickelson's 3 over. Tony Finau, 3 over. John Rahm is 3 over, and he's only through 14. Wyndham Clark is also struggling. I got Wyndham Clark in our snake draft with like the 47th pick. He's the 11th ranked player in the world, but he has struggled mightily in majors since he won the U.S. Open a couple years ago. So he's certainly put himself behind the 8 ball. But this all comes down to then what I thought was such an affirming score. In my group text with our snake draft, a question was posed. What would we shoot, the guys in this draft? Right now, my gin has me about a 10.5 handicap. I'm not good or bad. I'm fine. I can hang around, but I'm by no means like some elite golfer. Some of the guys in this are very good. You're talking 2, 3, 4, 5 handicaps. There isn't anybody that's scratched. Isn't anybody that's plus. But there's some guys that are pretty good sticks. Like Sean Rainey, our good buddy SWX Montana Television. He's a 4 or 5 on a good day. He's probably playing right around 6, 7 today. But he's good. He can definitely play. Kevin Levine, who's a former news guy in Montana, he can play a little bit too. Most of them, though, right there in like the 10 to 17 range in terms of handicaps. But everybody plays a lot and enjoys the game, and that's why we like to have this draft. So the question was posed, what would you shoot at Augusta on Sunday with Sunday pins and Sunday greens? And I was trolling these guys. I was saying, boys, there ain't no way anybody in this thread is breaking like 115. And, everybody's throwing it out there. Oh, I might be able to break 100. I was like, no. Sunday pins, Sunday greens, and you're playing from the championship tees. There ain't no way anybody in that thread's breaking triple digits. No chance. Well, guess what? We got our best affirmation today. Nick Dunlap, who came into this tournament as the 29th ranked player on this earth, shot a 90. If he's shooting 90, what's my over-under? Triple bogey on every hole is 127. I think that's it. I think that's right there. Like Ryan Tutel said, he said, I don't know what we'd all shoot, but I'd put the over-under at pars in the round at half. 1/2 of one par. Can you hit the over? Can you even get one par? I think our best chance to get a par would be on a par 3. Hit it on the green, 2-putt, get out of there. And some of those par 4s and par 5s are they're monstrous, and you just have to hit such towering but also precise shots into the green. And then the greens are just lightning fast. You just have to be so locked in to even have a chance at a 2-putt. Else you might be 4-putting all day long. So just funny. I think that's what makes golf so great and also so relatable. Like, you never want to see a guy like Nick Dunlap completely just blow his entire tournament in the very first, 4-hour round. But it does make you feel better when you see a guy that, again, he's 29th in the world and he shot a 90. So what are we shooting? I don't know. My brother just texted. He said, are you kidding me? We're not quad putting. We're 9 putting. He said, ain't no freaking 3 putts. If you don't get the tap in on the second one, you're back and forth. It's so true. Someday I want to play Augusta. If we could just play from the member tees instead of the tips, I think it would relatively, quote unquote, ease the course a little bit. But man, it would be fun and also humbling and humiliating all at the exact same time. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. You want to stream the show? You always can. 1029 ESPN.com. Click on Listen Live and you will find the stream. Also, you can always stream on the ESPN MT app as well as on the ESPN Missoula YouTube channel. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, you always can. 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. All guests join us via the Elevated Tax and Accounting phone line. Elevated Tax and Accounting, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch. If you'd like to save money on your taxes this year, let Elevated Tax and Accounting make a custom tax plan for you. For a free consultation, visit elevatedtax.com. Now, Andrew, we touched on this with Ryan Tutel on Monday when the news had just broken. He and I were pre-recording, so we saw this in real time. And then we mentioned it again on the show, but we haven't actually gotten a chance to hash it out. Michael Malone, who's won an NBA championship with the Denver Nuggets and has the Nuggets certainly in contention. Like, Denver is not they're neither exceeding or failing to meet expectations. I think that they're kind of right where people thought they were going to be. They're in 4th place, tied with the Clippers right now in the Western Conference standings with 2 games left to play for each of those 2 teams. They're a game behind the Lakers. The Lakers have surged past them. The Rockets have already sewed up a top 2 spot in their division, and Oklahoma City's obviously running away with the West. They're 14 games ahead of Houston and 18 games ahead of Denver. But I think Denver's still at least a contender to be in the Western Conference Finals. They're a team that has still, in a lot of people's estimation, including my own, the best player on the planet. This seems like crazy timing. It seems like you would just wait until the playoffs were over before you made this move. Or if this move was brewing, you would have done it months ago. It just seems so weird to fire a guy with like 7 days left in the regular season. What do we know? What can we say? And were you as surprised as me that Michael Malone out on Monday, fired by the Denver Nuggets?
Well, it is shocking stuff, but yeah, I think it's a confluence of factors, Coulter. Number one is, if you want to fire the guy, you don't want to give him a playoff run to make you change your mind. You don't want him to take you to the NBA Finals because then you can't fire him.
Right, and Nikola Jokic could definitely just take you to the NBA Finals.
Exactly, without Michael Malone doing anything, and now suddenly you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think that's one of them. I think in Denver, you hear from the reporting around this that there was a real rift between the coaching staff and the front office. The stories coming out of Denver are that Michael Malone and Calvin Booth, who was the GM and who also got fired the other day, completely did not see eye to eye, that Michael Malone was refusing to play the guys that Calvin Booth was drafting, essentially, because he wanted to contend right now, and so he wanted to play Russell Westbrook, and Calvin Booth wanted to bring in some younger players from the draft and sort of rebuild and do the two timelines thing like the Warriors made famous, and it was a little bit of a cold war in that front office. So at that point, I don't see how you can keep going on with either of them in there. But I think the third thing, Colter,
why not do this a couple weeks ago? Why not do it at the All-Star break? There's been reports that these guys do nothing but talk smack about each other behind each other's backs, and this is like the most dramatic, toxic franchise in the entire NBA. But this has been being talked about like by NBA insiders for like a year.
Well, they've fallen down the standings a little bit. I mean,
they lost 4 in a row when Malone had gotten fired.
I mean, in the middle of the season, they were up there second and third in the West, right?
Yeah.
And lately, the rest of the West has been catching up to them, mainly the Warriors and the Lakers, because these trade deadline moves. And that sort of comes back to what I was going to say here. I think there's the unique psychological pressures going on, particularly in the Western Conference this year, that's making a lot of teams really desperate.
It's because the Lakers traded for Luka Doncic, and all of a sudden the Grizzlies and the Nuggets are like, oh, we're not going to just cruise to second place. These guys are coming. They might not never lose again.
That's right. But I think that we saw this at the trade deadline. Obviously not with the Lakers trading for Luka Doncic, because that was going to happen anyway. With the Warriors trying to make that move for Jimmy Butler.
No doubt.
With the Lakers trying to go on and get remember they had the trade that got rescinded from Charlotte?
Yes.
With the Lakers going out to try and get another big man even after they got Luka Doncic. And now recently with the Taylor Jenkins and the Michael Malone firings, both in teams who think they're contenders at the West. I think number one...
Taylor Jenkins, by the way, the Memphis Grizzlies coach, I buried the lead on that one. They also got fired about a week earlier than Malone.
I think a lot of people think that the West is available for the taking this year.
Yes.
The Oklahoma City Thunder are having a historic regular season.
I mean, how about that? The Thunder might win 68 games. This would be a top 10 mark in the history of the NBA, and yet the
how many playoff
overwhelming
series has that core won?
That's what I'm saying. And the overwhelming narrative in the league, that people that follow the league, people that report on the league, people that play and are executives in the league, is that we could go get these guys. I mean, you look at the betting favorites. Oklahoma City as a 68-win team is not an overwhelming betting favorite. The Lakers have almost as much juice as Oklahoma City, and Denver's not far behind. And the Clippers are right there, and the Warriors are right there, too. So even Vegas knows that Oklahoma City might be a little bit vulnerable.
Right. So that's sort of the way things work in the NBA. You don't believe in these teams until they actually go out and do it. And we'll be talking about that with the Thunder going through the entire playoffs. So I think that a lot of these teams think that the West is a little bit soft at the top, and even potentially the entire league's a little bit soft at the top, because we're just saying the same thing about the Cleveland Cavaliers in the East. So I think they're seeing opportunity, and I think particularly these teams in the West are thinking that the West is not going to be soft in the coming years.
Right.
Because that Thunder team's only going to get older and only going to get more experience.
Same with Houston, right?
Same with Houston.
Yeah.
And also Victor Wembanyama's coming.
Right.
At some point. So I think that there's this unique opportunity that a lot of teams are seeing this year, that not only can we possibly contend this year, but also, I mean, Warriors, Lakers, the Nuggets have a star in their prime, right? That Grizzlies team has been together for a couple of years. They're thinking that, well, we've got the experience. This might be one of the last years that we can contend, because this conference is going to grow even more fearsome. So I think we're in a unique spot this year, and I think that explains a lot of the moves at the trade deadline, and I think it helps to explain these two coach firings.
Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, the ESPN MT app, and our new ESPN Missoula YouTube channel. Andrew Houghton chiming in here from behind the glass. So, 2 more things on this. The fact that players dictate this league so much in the NBA. Like, how many times has LeBron James got his coach fired? How many times has he basically handpicked his coach? And he's just one example. I mean, this has been a thing for a long time throughout many different eras in the NBA. By all accounts, Jokic likes Michael Malone, but he also doesn't seem to have anywhere near the clout that some of these other superstars do. And it's also funny because he's not the emotional, mercurial, like prima donna type of guy. He just always seems like he's grumpy and just balls out no matter what it seems like he's feeling like. His feelings are completely separate from his performance. Whatever his feelings even are, I don't even know what they are. He just seems very melancholy all the time. What do you think about just that element of this, that Jokic seems like he liked Malone, But this is the rare, if not completely unique circumstance in which you fire the coach that the superstar likes. And I don't think it's going to affect Jokic's play whatsoever.
No, it's not. But here's why. They were heading towards a problem. The one thing that you can't have with Jokic is the drama that we talked about, because he's exactly the kind of guy who that's not going to get to him. It's not going to affect his play.
Yeah, the GM and the head coach going and talking smack behind closed doors about each other. That ain't it. He's not into that at all.
It's not going to affect him, but he doesn't like that at all. That's the one thing that does not mesh with his personality. He's like, why are we doing this? Why aren't we focusing on, playing basketball out here? So I think that could have probably been an issue if they'd kept both of these guys in place with Jokic.
How many veteran teams are we going to have to watch Russell Westbrook try to ruin? This has to end at some point, right? I used to love Westbrook. I just can't stand it anymore. I know the appeal. He goes so hard. He's also such a ridiculous liability late in games now.
Yeah, the problem with Russell Westbrook is the deterioration of his skills at the same point as the non-deterioration of his confidence.
It's said so well. It's so true.
And it results in this sort of resolute stubbornness that I'm still Russell Westbrook, and I'm going to take my shots, and I'm going to play the role that I played for years in Oklahoma City. And it manifests in sort of this absolute negative feel for the game in a lot of situations. I mean, what was the late game situation that he had the other week before Malone got fired, where he breaks the layup on the fast break? They're up one, right?
Yes.
Or they're up two with like 20 seconds left. They get a steal. Instead of pulling the ball back out, he bricks the layup on the fast break. The Wolves come back down, get a shot in the corner, brick it. But what's this? Russell Westbrook was flying out on the shooter, fouls him at the buzzer. He makes 2 free throws, and you lose. I mean, that's worse than J.R. Smith in the finals, where LeBron is screaming at him.
Absolutely.
That was the worst late game awareness that I think I have ever seen from an NBA basketball player ever. And he's not always that obviously bad, but it's just we've seen it fail with the Lakers alongside LeBron. We've seen it fail now, I think, with the Nuggets alongside Nikola Jokic. I mean, if you can't coexist with those guys, then what are you doing here? And there were times early in the season when the Nuggets were like, he's turned the corner. You have these cycles of going through the cycle with Russell Westbrook, right? At first you're like, he's going to be able to help out. He's changed the leaf. He's turned the page. He's a different guy. And then by the end of the season, it's like, this has kind of ruined our team. So that's that. And it's unfair to pin it all on Russell Westbrook, but that certainly did not help the case, because I don't think that helped the vibes in Denver. And Coulter, last thing on this, Michael Malone, you mentioned he won a championship. That doesn't buy you very much anymore in the NBA. I mean, how long did Mike Budenholzer last after he won the championship for the Bucks?
No question.
How long did Nick Nurse last after he won that Kawhi Leonard championship for the Toronto Raptors?
It's true.
It doesn't buy you all that much anymore.
Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. We'll talk some high school basketball, and I have one more NBA question for Andrew Houghton as well. And maybe we'll get to some Grizz football, too. That's all next. Don't change that down. Keep it right here. It's ESPN Radio.
For 20 years, there's been a sound that's helped define Missoula. A sound as unique as the people who call this place home. The Trail 103.3. We're grateful. We're honored. We remain true to the community and true to the music. Tune in for the celebration. Tune in for the party. Tune in for the next 20 years. We can hardly wait.
I can't wait.
The Trail 103.3.
Hardly wait.
In the Treasure State, University of Montana football is a way of life. Lithia Ford has long been a proud sponsor of Grizz football, and Lithia Ford of Missoula is thrilled to have several of the best Montana football seniors driving the best trucks in Montana. Aspen Sound is the premier car audio and accessory shop in Montana. Aspen Sound makes sure the boys are riding in style with tinted windows and state-of-the-art stereo systems. There's always a party in Montana. Whether you're going to a concert, a wedding, or a football game, the Montana Montana Party Bus will get you there. Skyline Sports and ESPN MT cover the Big Sky with more depth than anyone. Check out SkylineSportsMT.com and tune in to Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula every day. My Montana Roots and Wear Your Roots clothing is your go-to spot for the most unique and comfortable lifestyle clothing you'll find anywhere. And get your custom t-shirts to support your favorite player. From 5 local businesses who love Montana, best of luck to the Grizz as they pursue another Big Sky Conference championship.
Attention, your locally owned and nationally known mattress firm thanks the Missoula community for 10 years of amazing support and growth. There's a huge remodel sale blowout before the doors close for their 2-week remodel. All inventory must go. Mattresses, adjustable bases, accessories, all drastically marked down to clear the showroom. Save it to 60% off on top name brands. If you've been waiting for that amazing deal, now is the time. Mattress Firm's remodel sale only April 1st through the 15th.
Where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.com.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Both the Grizz and the Bobcats have added men's basketball transfers in recent days. Hello, I'm Andrew Houghton. On Monday, Montana State confirmed the signing of 6-year senior combo guard Davion Brown. Listed at 6'3", Brown is the younger brother of former Bobcats point guard Darius Brown II, who was part of a Big Sky Conference title team in Bozeman in 2022-23. The younger Brown spent the first 2 seasons of his career at the Masters University, an NAIA school in Santa Clarita, California, before transferring to Lewis Clark State in Lewiston, Idaho. After 2 seasons there, he played last year at Biola University, a Division II school in Southern California, where he averaged 15.6 points and 4.9 rebounds per game. The Montana Grizzlies picked up a transfer as well, with former Colorado guard Courtney Anderson Jr. committing to the Grizz via social media on Tuesday. Anderson, a former 4-star recruit from Vallejo, California, spent 2 seasons at Colorado. He redshirted as a freshman before playing in 4 games this past season. The 6'5" guard is the son of Courtney Anderson Sr., who spent parts of 6 seasons as a tight end in the NFL. Anderson now becomes the second Power 4 transfer commitment for the Grizz in this spring's recruiting cycle, joining former Minnesota forward Caden Betts.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Different time, all the stars are in their prime. Pastel trailer park, stars so bright to hide the dark. All is quiet in the yard. Giddy up and go dust, all the cars turn to rust. You got no means for wanderlust. Pastel trailer park, stars so bright in the dark. All is quiet in the yard.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I'm Cole through Nuanez coming to you through the ESPN MT studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Hope you're having a great day. It's a beautiful day here in western Montana. Dare I say almost hot. High 60s. Spring, maybe here. Well, the Grizz spring game is tomorrow. So let's talk a little Grizz football. I did want to unveil the rosters for the Montana Elite Invitational, but then I started going through them, and I realized that I know who a good majority of these young people are, but I also needed to go through and see who the roster that Josh Eustace sent me from the Montana Elite Invitational doesn't have the schools or towns that these kids are from. So I need to fill in the blanks here so that we can say, okay, this person from this place. Obviously, we know a lot of the obvious ones like Cannon Magnus from Hamilton, for example, or Lincoln Rogers from Missoula Sentinel, Mason Quinn from Frenchtown, Ava Overgaard from Bozeman Gallatin, Lauren Lieberg from Helena, Madison O'Connor from Baker. Like we know a lot of these selections, but also I don't know some of them. And I do once I look them up, but I want to give credit because there's a lot of really great young small school kids particularly. There's quite a few Native American kids, especially on the boys' side. that made this year's Montana Elite Invitational, and that's cool. And it's really cool for these kids from small towns to not only just get mentioned on ESPN radio, I mean, that's always cool, but just to get recognized to go to this fun event. So we'll round that up, and we'll get that to you sometime here in this show as well. But let's talk some Grizz football as they have their spring game tomorrow. We'll be coming to you live from Washington Grizzly Stadium, 4 to 6, leading up to the spring game, which starts at 6 p.m. And I've already said I'd say more than 2 cents, by 75 cents on the offensive line for the Grizz. I know everybody's eyes are going to be on the quarterbacks. I take such a grain of salt approach to analyzing the quarterbacks in the spring game, because they always put the quarterback, one of the two quarterbacks or both the best quarterbacks that are like the top leaders in the clubhouse to be the starter. They always put them on the team with all the redshirt freshman offensive linemen and all the young skill players. And then they put the third and fourth string quarterbacks behind the starting offensive line. And then that team that has the young offensive line always has to go against the number one defense. And the team that has the freshman offensive line, it's inequitable. It's hard to really gauge the quarterback stuff. So that's all going to come with a grain of salt. Line play, though, and lineman bodies, you can see right away. And I did a long bit on the Montana and Montana State offensive line sagas coming into this upcoming season, I think last week. So let's take, and we talked about the Grizz offensive line yesterday too, because of the announcement of Cameron Norcross, Ely, Nevada's finest, who has been an offensive line coach for the better part of a quarter century, and now is the new O-line coach for the Grizz. But let's take a look at the defensive line. This will be year 3 under Scott Linehan's son, Mike Linehan, excuse me. I almost said Matt Linehan, but Matt Linehan's the offensive coordinator at Idaho. But it's Scott Linehan's other son, Mike Linehan, who's a former Vandal as well. He's been running the defensive line since Barry Sachs retired. And that was certainly a transition for the group, because Sachs is just a ball of energy, who's certainly like a good veteran, fundamental type coach, but more than anything, he's just the guy that brings the juice every single day. I mean, he's endlessly entertaining, one of the funniest guys I've ever seen on the sidelines. So that was an adjustment, because Coach Linehan is more tempered, certainly, more stoic, I would say. A good fundamental coach. Watch him in practice. He knows, defensive line play, the ins and outs of it. He's definitely teaching good tactics and good fundamentals. But this group now has been under this position coach for a couple of years now, so that's not a transition anymore. The transition for this group comes from having to fill in so many spots that have been vacated the last couple of years. Last year, the biggest storyline for the Grizz defensive front was, how do you replace the big man in the middle? Alex Gubner was a beast among beasts. He's one of the 2 best interior defensive linemen that the Big Sky has seen since Bobby Hauck came back. I think it's him and Sebastian Valdez. Those 2 guys are the best of the best. Gubner was a 3-time first-team All-League player and the Defensive Player of the Year in the league 2 years ago during 2023 season, where the Grizz went all the way to the national championship game. He didn't get a ton of stats, but he wrecked an endless array of blocking schemes. So the big storyline last year was, how do they replace that guy? Well, they didn't. I thought that was one of the biggest weak spots on their defense, in a defense that had several key weaknesses. I mean, last year the Grizz defense was not up to the Montana standard in terms of tackling, in terms of coverage on the back end, in terms of alignment and execution, and in terms of physicality in the trenches. You remove, if you're not up to par, and I'm basing this on the Montana standard, the Bobby Hauck standard, which is an incredibly high standard. If you're not up to par in those 4 areas, you have a hard time playing elite defense. The Grizz were fine to good on defense the second half of the year last year. That is not even close to good enough, especially when you're a program and a team that wants to rely on your defense. I mean, that's how the Grizz have won games the vast majority of Bobby Hauck's tenure leading his alma mater. So being just good is not good enough. And I think that starts up front. So The Grizz lose Hayden Harris, who was a second-team All-Big Sky guy, and he's going to be a pro. He's going to play in the Canadian Football League, I believe. He's got Canadian citizenship, so I think he'll get drafted in the CFL after his fine pro day last week. Noah Cashmitter was a guy that, when healthy, was a good player. I mean, Bobby Houck called him their best defensive lineman when healthy. The health part was just the thing that eluded him. Cashmitter could have come back this year, but he decided that all his health struggles were enough for him. He'd already gone through the rigors. He'd already earned his degree, and he just wanted to move back home and start the next chapter of his life. Hank Noose, another guy, was a multi-year starter, but also had a devastating injury that cost him more than a year. And when he finally got back from that, he just wasn't quite the same player. He's a Kalispell kid who actually is from Maine, but moved to Kalispell in high school, and then was an impact player for the Grizz early, and then the bad knee injury really messed up the middle part of his career. He did come back and play a little bit last year, but he wasn't quite the same. He also decided to graduate and hang him up with a year remaining. And then the transfers that Montana brought in last year that they really needed to hit that just didn't really hit were Pat Hayden and Anders Lehrman. Hayden was a guy from Monmouth who was just okay for the Grizz, and he was the main man in the middle. And Anders Lehrman was one of the strong ends who transferred from Youngstown State. And both those guys looked the part, but it just seemed to me that they weren't quite as good as the guys that had played the spots previously. That's not their fault. That's just a circumstance. But I also thought that they had a hard time really acclimating to the scheme and really grasping it at a high level. I don't think that's uncommon. I think that's going to be the case for a lot of transfers that are one-and-done type of players. I just think this 3-3-5 stack that the Grizz run is pretty complicated. It's a delicate dance that creates all this organized chaos. I think it's no coincidence that the Grizz were so good when they had a group that had played so many snaps together over years and years and years. I mean, that group that had – I mean, the COVID year sucked for everybody in the world, period. But it was like an extra entire year of training for the Grizz to master that defense. So they had so many guys that played a lot in 2019, then got a whole extra year to get healthy and locked in 2020, a whole nother spring ball and fall camp in 2021, and then they kept on rolling, and those guys were all pretty young then. By the time 2023 rolls around, those guys have played 50 games together. And so to think that you could replace that sort of production and synchronicity with transfers that have only played in the system for 6-7 months by the time August rolls around, I think that's a fool's errand, and I think that's why the Grizz lacked some production last year defensively and all those other factors that I already mentioned. Here's the returners, though. There's a whole bunch of guys that have been in the program. They've been practicing this stuff. They've been repping it. Can they take the proverbial next step and actually be standout to dominant players? We'll see. I think the guy that has the most pressure on him as a returning player is Jared Ramos. He was Governor's backup for most of 2023. Last year he battled some injuries. He's a really highly recruited guy. He chose Montana over an offer from Colorado State. He has the size. He's got the strength. He's explosive. He's just got to prove that he can be the dude in the middle. Jake Mason is a guy that flashed for me last year. I actually thought when I was being very critical of the Grizz defensive line last year, I kept saying, move on from these transfers that haven't been in the system for a while and play this dude. Like, Mason was also a transfer from Washington, but he was a freshman last year. He's got 3 more years, including this upcoming one, to master this thing. He's got some of the twitch that you need and some of the aggressiveness that you need to be a standout player at that inside spot. So I think he's the guy that has potential. I don't know if he's ready quite yet, but I do think that he could get ready, and when he is ready, I think he'll be an impact player on the inside for the Grizz. Other guys that have been around the program for a while that could and or should rise up, all the rest of these guys are defensive ends. Kellen Dietrich was a guy that was highly regarded coming out of Havre High School. He just hasn't been able to crack it. He hasn't been able to get in the rotation. He's a senior now. Jackson Tucker was a guy that's highly regarded coming out of Billings West High School. Then he had an injury that caused him to gray shirt. So he's now a third-year sophomore. He's got great physical tools. I mean, he's a big, strong kid, but also was a standout track thrower, so he's got good feet. He's got good athleticism. Where's he at, though, in terms of his development and his health? R.B. Wilson was one of the guys that stuck out to me right away during fall camp last year. He was a JC transfer, defensive end. He's about 6'5", 245, so he's got long arms. His whole deal last year, at least during fall camp, was he just wasn't in good enough shape to be able to put together strings of consistent reps, and he just buried himself on the depth chart, and they just couldn't really fight his way back in during the season. So maybe that changes now. He's got a year worth of training under his belt. Sloan McPherson is a good story. I don't know if he's ever going to play, but he's got size. He's 6'4", 260. He's a Class C kid out of Savage, Montana. He's gotten some publicity because he was part of the Be the Match deal where you can donate bone marrow and save a life, and he did that. And so there was some media out there about him there. He's a senior, so his time is now or never. And then Matai Matafala, is a dude who is got great pedigree. He transferred from the SEC, Mississippi State. His older brother, Hercules Mataafa, is currently with the Minnesota Vikings. He was a Chuck Bednarik Award finalist during his time at Washington State. So Mataafa comes from great stock. He's been in the rotation. He just hasn't really produced these last couple of years. So that's a lot of guys. Who can rise up? Who can be one of the guys? I don't know. So I'm going to be watching the defensive line pretty intently on Friday night with the Grizz spring football game playing out at Washington Grizzly Stadium. The transfers that the Grizz have that are on campus include Hunter Peck, who was the Frontier Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He's like a DN/linebacker. I think he's going to play like that rush edge position that Patrick O'Connell and Riley Wilson have thrived at these last handful of years. If he can bring production to that spot, if he is the guy and he can bring the juice off the edge, that's big for Montana. It'd also be a fascinating case study. Like, as a guy that's utterly dominant in the Frontier, does that mean you're just automatically good at the D1 level? Like, does that translate to being a D1 guy? I think it could go both ways. I think this dude could be really good because he's played a ton of football. I also think that he could be overwhelmed and just not have enough twitch and explosiveness. I don't know. I've never seen this kid live. I've seen his film from Carroll, but I've never seen him live. So that'll be an interesting case study as well. Brandon Bailey's another guy they brought in to shore up the inside. I mean, he goes 6'5", 310 pounds. I've heard that he's had a hard time acclimating to the rigors of Bobby Houck's practices. This is not new for transfers, especially linemen on either side of the ball. Guys that come in and that their number one attribute is size, they don't realize how much the Grizz run. And I'm just not just talking like get on the line and run gassers. They have to run from drill to drill. I mean, it's very militaristic. If you ever watch the Grizz practice, it's very much like, Bobby Houck is very much like a drill sergeant. That's very much what he's like. So this guy, will he play himself into shape? Will that, be a huge priority this summer? Or does he fall behind like we've seen some of the other transfers? He's got the size. I just don't know if he can get to the point where he's conditioned enough to have quality reps to be able to win a spot. Gio Pifferine's a JC guy who I know the Grizz coaching staff was high on. He's huge. He's got big-time size. He's 6'4", 255 pounds. But how fast can he grasp the scheme? And then the guy that everybody's going to want to get eyes on, who you're actually not going to get eyes on Friday, is DJ Peavy. He's a former 4-star recruit, transfer from USC. We talked about Solomon T. last week, who was the National High School Player of the Year years and years ago, who was also transferred from USC. He won't be here until the summer, but so will Peavy won't either. I was unsure why Peavy was not able to make it to campus for spring ball, but he's not here. So I think that puts him behind. How much can his talent help him catch up? I mean, you don't bring in a guy as a former 4-star recruit from USC to not play him, especially when you have this many question marks at the position group. So I expect Peavy to be a front runner, to be in the lineup, but does this missed spring set him back? I'm not sure. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, very much looking forward to the Grizz spring game tomorrow at Washington Grizzly Stadium. We'll have this show live for you between 4 and 6, and that game will kick right at 6. It's actually going to be like special team stuff for the first 15 minutes, and then the actual action, the actual scrimmage will probably start right like 6:10, 6:15, something like that. But we'll have full lead-up coverage for you tomorrow, and then we'll also have full reaction for you on Monday's Nuanez Now. You want a free haircut? I got one for you. Bighorn Men's Cuts right off of Russell Street on 3rd. Just one block off of Russell. They have an old school barbershop that does a heck of a job. You can do everything from traditional men's cuts to head shaves, the straight razor shaves. They can do your face. They can color your beard. Basically anything you could want from a men's haircut or a men's barbershop, they can do it for you. We got a free haircut from Bighorn Men's Cuts for you. Call right now, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Call right now, caller number 1. We got a free haircut for you to the Bighorn Men's Haircuts there on 3rd Street. Track and field times. There's a bunch of really good ones. The weather must be getting nicer. That's always an indication. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. Treasure State's best from the track at the high school level. Next, keep it right here. ESPN Radio. State University of Montana football is a way of life. Lithia Ford has long been a proud sponsor of Grizz football, and Lithia Ford of Missoula is thrilled to have several of the best Montana football seniors driving the best trucks in Montana. Aspen Sound is the premier car audio and accessory shop in Montana. Aspen Sound makes sure the boys are riding in style with tinted windows and state-of-the-art stereo systems. There's always a party in Montana. Whether you're going to a concert, a wedding, or a football game, the Montana Party Bus will get you there. Skyline Sports and ESPN MT cover the Big Sky with more depth than anyone. Check out SkylineSportsMT.com and tune in to Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula every day. My Montana Roots and Wear Your Roots clothing is your go-to spot for the most unique and comfortable lifestyle clothing you'll find anywhere. And get your custom t-shirts to support your favorite player. From 5 local businesses who love Montana, best of luck to the Grizz as they pursue another Big Sky Conference championship.
What are you drinking?
I think I'll have a 56.
56 Counties American Light Lager, a beer for Montanans and friends of Montanans.
Access to Montana's great backyard is the best part of being a Grizzly. At the University of Montana, our classrooms are the mountain peaks, river valleys, and never-ending plains of the Big Sky country. We provide students with the hands-on training to protect and enjoy hunting, conservation, and stewardship. launches the careers of outdoor leaders so that they can protect our traditions and ensure they are passed down for future generations. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
What is a jewelry design center?
JDC is a family-owned business with deep roots in Montana. Why Montana? Because this community made us family, made us artisans, made us believe in love, made us hometown heroes. Because this community made us shine. Why Montana? Because Montana is home.
At the Stone of Accord, our liquor store has an extensive selection of Irish whiskeys, wine, and local spirits. We also have exciting events daily, and our complimentary beverages are always served with a smile. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino. Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
We're up all night to get lucky. 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 We're up all night to get. 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 We're up all night to get.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. You missed anything in the show so far, you can find it on the Nuanez Now podcast, probably presented by the M Store, where they're all grills all the time. The Montana State Bookstore, your best place for blue and gold on game day or any other day, and Elevated Tax, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch. Treasure State's Best, probably presented by Vertical Raise, the elite online fundraising platform in Montana. You want the biggest checks for your high school sports organizations, visit verticalraise406.com. Here is some of the standout marks from across the state. Certainly ones that have been ones that are better than with the first week that we did this, because the weather's just gotten nicer and there's just been a lot more kids that have gotten. You got to have a certain amount of practices in, so sometimes those early season meets, especially if you're coming off of basketball, maybe you needed a day or two, maybe you got a sore leg. It takes a minute to get into track shape, and it also takes a minute to get yourself the required amount of 2 weeks worth of practices to be eligible to compete in these meets. But now that's starting to happen, and there's starting to be nicer weather and just more competitive races, and so we've seen much, much bigger marks. The two marks that really, really stood out to me this last week from all across high school track and field. Number one, Hunter Loesch, senior at Corvallis High School. He threw the javelin 204 feet and 4 inches. That's the longest throw in Montana since 2019, back when a couple of the great athletes in the state had an awesome duel throughout the year and then an awesome duel at the AA meet. Evan Todd and Rylan Ort dueled it out. Ort actually beat Todd in one of the great throw-offs I've seen in high school javelin. Ort, of course, then went on to become a All-Big Sky team captain for the Montana State Bobcats and just had a great pro day this last week. And Todd, of course, went on to become the greatest javelin thrower in the history of the Big Sky Conference at the University of Montana. He set the Big Sky record of 246 feet and change. That was a pretty impressive mark to watch. It happened in Bozeman, and it looked like it was fake because the javelin was just flying so far. Anyways, Hunter Loesch, the top javelin throw since those two guys did it some 6 years ago, and his throw right now of 204 feet 4 inches is the second longest javelin throw in the country for a high school kid. So really, really impressive. About 9 feet off of the state record that throw was. The other eye-opening mark, I thought, of this last week was Gavin Gusico of Missoula Sentinel. He pole vaulted 15 feet 6 inches. Not only is that the highest pole vault in the state by more than a foot, it also shattered Sentinel's school record, which had held for 50 years, and he broke it by 18 inches, a foot and a half. The old school record was 14 feet, and this kid goes 15.6 last weekend. So that's within a foot of the state record, all-class state record in Montana, 16-4. So Gusico is definitely one of the favorites, if not the overwhelming favorite, in the pole vault at the AA level. Madeline Todorovich up to her old trick. She's been one of the great athletes in Montana the last couple of years. That's why she's going to Baylor. Yes, that Baylor of the Big 12. As she is only getting started in terms of the marks that she could reach, but she still has the top mark in the state in the 400 meters. She's the only young lady to break 60 seconds in that so far. She also has the top mark in the state in the 300-meter hurdles at 46.27 seconds. And she also has the top mark in the state in the high jump at 5'5", and she also has the top mark in the state in the long jump at 17 feet 11 and a half inches. So she is. I mean, the thing is, none of those are her PRs. She's going to get better in every single one of those marks. But Helena High has been utterly dominant in girls track and field, and so much of it's been because of the Todorovich sisters. Logan is already at Baylor, and Madeline will join her next year, but not before making another run at a team state championship and certainly a bunch of golds on the individual level. Other top marks, Treasure State's Best, probably presented by Vertical Raise. A couple guys went under 11 seconds in the 100 meters. That's always a hallowed place to be. Ben Bliven went 10.86 seconds. He's from Kalispell Flathead. And Drew Almquist, who's become a rising football recruit, he's getting a lot of interest from both the Grizz and the Cats. And this time will certainly increase that interest. He went 10.9 seconds. He showed great speed during football on the outside for Helena Capital. But if you're his size, like his physical makeup, and you can run under 11 seconds, I mean, you're smoking. Like you are moving, and you are a big-time recruit. Certainly, no doubt about it. Other marks, in the name of time, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, just ones that really, really stood out for this time of year. Lane Vermans had a big one in the discus. He went almost 170 feet. That passed Jack Murray for the best mark in the state so far. Lane Vermans is of Columbia Falls. Aston Brown of Polson had the best shot put mark in the state last week, 58 feet 9 inches. Jack Murray's also nipping on his heels. Murray of Bozeman-Gallatin, he went 54-10, and Riley McGrath of Bozeman-Gallatin went 54-1 in the shot put, so those are impressive. Sam Henderson of Butte and Tamarit Savick of Big Fork, they're the two young men that have gone over 45 feet in the triple jump, so that's an elite mark so far this year. 3 young ladies have got under 12.5 seconds in the 100 meters. That's sort of like the equivalent to 11 seconds in the boys 100 meters. Caitlin Dantic of Laurel, Isabella Donahue of Bozeman-Gallatin, and Quinlan Simmons of Helena High. And that's about it in terms of ones that are really eye-popping, like state championship caliber marks so far. But we'll certainly go through as many of the state track and field marks as we can as the season continues to progress. Thanks to Vertical Raise. You want to raise the most money for your online fundraising. I know everybody's accustomed to the old school way of fundraising. You sell the gold cards, you sell some popcorn, some cookie dough. That's all good. But this is elite technology that can help magnify and multiply the people that can donate to your high school fundraisers. All they're doing is sending emails and texts and calling people from the extended networks of all the young people on the team. So not only can your neighbors contribute, like when you're selling them some cookie dough, but so can grandma who lives in Arizona, and so can auntie who lives out in Oregon. It's a great resource. It's really good. So if you would like to find out more about how Vertical Raise can help you raise money for your high school sports organization and deliver the biggest checks possible, visit verticalraise406.com. Appreciate Vertical Raise for their continued support of us here at Nuanez Now. Hour 1 of the books, Hour 2 coming at you. If you're watching on TV or on the app, please don't change that dial. Carol, She Does No Sports, makes her television debut. She's been on the show for 5 years. It's all been audio. We got video for you as well. Plus, we got tons of laughs. That's all next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Radio.
So will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. So if something happens to your tire on the road, we'll fix it, or we'll replace it, no questions asked. Other places make you pay extra for that kind of protection, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from Les.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. If you ever miss anything in the show, you can always find it on the podcast, available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Probably presented by the M Store, where they're all Grizz all the time. The Montana State Bookstore, your best place for blue and gold on game day or any other day. And Elevated Tax, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch. Let's have some fun with a on-camera debut. We have a surprise for you. You can see her on the television. How long have we been doing this segment?
5 years.
5 years. And Carolyn's the only consistent guest we have that has never been on TV before, even though we're on TV every day. But we got new procedures here, and we have new tech. We can take it, we can shoot it, capture it, and then splice it in. So now she doesn't have to stay here at work till 4 o'clock, because that would be something that
Horrible.
She would never do.
No.
And now you get a chance to see Carol, the chick who doesn't know sports. So welcome to her world. It's been a mystery for a long time, and there's a lot of listeners that want to know what she looks like.
Yeah, sorry for the disappointment.
Yeah, right. You look great. All right, so what's been going on? How was your week? I haven't talked to you, at least on the radio, since we got to hang out with our semi-famous friends every week. That was fun.
So last Thursday, I got to see Sarah and Mary, Sarah Colonna and Mary Radzinski live in Missoula, and then you went on Friday in Bozeman.
Yep.
Which was cool.
Yeah, super fun. Never been to the Elm before. It's a cool venue there in Bozeman. So.
Yeah. Well, they have a podcast themselves, and they were talking about the Cat's Paw.
Yeah, the Cat's Paw.
On their podcast.
Yeah, this is pretty funny. So I know there's a lot of people listening to this show that live in Missoula, and I know there's a big rivalry between Missoula and Bozeman as towns, and obviously huge rivalry in sports. And basically the biggest knock that everybody says against Bozeman is always like, oh, it's Los Angeles, it's California, it's so snooty, everything's so nice. There's some nice parts to it being nice. I mean, if everybody would just admit that nice stuff is actually cool sometimes. But there are some parts where you're like, this kind of lacks Montana character. It's kind of weird. The Cat's Paw is like an old school Montana dive bar. It could be in Dillon or, whatever, Scobie. Hilarious because it's right across the street from the Elm. So that's why after the show I said, hey, you talk to all your fans. She was doing a meet and greet, and I said, just come across the street and then we'll make a plan. We'll grab an Uber, go downtown. I'd love to show you guys around. So we go across the street to the Cat's Paw. Sarah and her husband John Ryan and their whole group of friends come over, and they just love this place.
Yeah.
They just thought it was the greatest. I was like, you guys want to go downtown? Like, no, this is awesome. Like, John bought one round of drinks, and it was so cheap. And he's like, no, we're not going anywhere. This is exactly where I want to be.
She also won $800 on one of the machines.
Wow. I must have left before that, or maybe she snuck away. I was talking to Mary, her podcast partner, quite a bit too. But those gals were really fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
They're really fun conversationalists and very smart and fun stories. And I just got a lot of respect for people that chase their dreams, especially when it comes to performing for a living, and that's what they're doing.
So that was a great part of my weekend. And then Monday, I had the honor and the privilege of picking up McCall from daycare.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, as if that wasn't enough, I brought him to Tap Club. And the owner of Tap Club said I looked skinny and didn't recognize me and thought I was your nanny.
Yeah, Carol and the hot nanny bringing McCall from daycare to the Tap Club.
I mean, look, I don't know what else I could ask for in life. To be mistaken for a nanny.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. A skinny nanny. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you go up from there, but I'm going to try.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm glad that those fine folks at the Tap Club was able to make your week. Also, thanks to them for hosting us several times over the last couple of weeks. And it's a fun place to broadcast from. It's a cool place. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. At the corner of Mullen and Reserve in Missoula. All right, what's going on this week?
Okay, so Pat McAfee, a few months ago, he had engaged in a rumor about a young college student, female at Ole Miss. I'm not going to say a name or anything like that because there's all these lawsuits now.
Okay.
But he went on his very popular show and talked about this rumor about this 19-year-old girl who was having an affair with her boyfriend's dad.
Whoa.
It was all a lie. And they're in the middle of major lawsuits. He said her name. I mean, it went all around TikTok. It went all around all the social media. So the other night he had an event in Philadelphia, a big live event.
Okay, so time out. Let me get this straight. There was a rumor going around Ole Miss, and Pat McAfee, the rumor was that there was a student that was having an affair with who?
Her boyfriend's dad.
Okay, and then Pat McAfee talked about this on his show, and then it went viral.
Yes, and he said her name on the show.
My God. Thank God we have this show, and this is the only part of this show that we have to worry about.
Right. I mean, we've been close to many lawsuits, but
I don't
luckily...
think we're spreading rumors about teenagers.
No.
That seems pretty inappropriate.
So last night he had this big event in Philadelphia. I guess that's where he's from.
Okay.
And this big deal. And he brought it up and said that there's a silver lining for everyone in this, and it'll be okay. So I'm assuming he's settling for a lot of money. But how dumb can you be? Why would you even why would you even do that?
Well, right. It's not just dumb. It's just there's no point.
Right.
It's not content, especially when you're trying to have a sports show.
But
why are you talking about sorority girl rumors?
Because it did go viral, and I'm not sure.
Which says so much about society as much as anything else.
Right, but I don't know if that brought more viewers, if he was able to monetize that. I don't really know what he's looking at the picture of her. She's gorgeous.
Okay.
But she wasn't having an affair with her.
I'm reading Us Weekly for the first time in my life, and there's an article about this.
That's in my phone. So he didn't apologize for spreading the rumor. I feel like it was a calculated move to spread that kind of a rumor. He must be gaining something for that, whether it was followers, whatever.
Yep.
At that poor girl's expense, though.
Right, this is what we always talk about with this show. How will we make it more popular? Make it way worse.
I mean...
Just scream and yell at each other about all sorts of controversial stuff.
Maybe or you just need Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. But the other part of this event was it was a room full of hyped up dudes, and of course a fight broke out in the audience.
Do people still fight?
Well, they did it. Pat McAfee.
They almost fight. They scuffle and get in each other's faces.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really fight when you're on that kind of angle, but it's just get it together, guys. We don't need to fight.
Well, I think we can improve society quite a bit if we started fighting again, but
I think there's a time and a place for a fight, like the bike racks at 3:00.
The tank trails. Does your kids have stories about the tank trails being Big Sky guys? Do they still do that?
No, what's that?
I used to drive down the tank trails. That's where you go fight.
Oh, no. They just fight.
Meet me at the tank trails. Then you go down there, and that's where the brawl would be, and everybody would go.
They just fight in the bathroom.
In the bathroom. That seems unproductive. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, Chicken Doesn't Know Sports. The press box has a whole bunch of new stuff going on. They've had this great happy hour going on for a while now, but they also have breakfast again. I don't know if a lot of people know this. They're serving breakfast on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I went there with my son the other day. He got 2 pancakes, the size of his head. And he ate them all. He loved it. Those are his favorite cakes in town. But they also got prime rib back.
They're having Friday night prime rib nights.
Yum.
$29 for a prime rib, right? For the whole meal. You get the soup, the salad, the veggie, the potato. I mean, it's like a smoking deal. So
it's a great deal.
I don't know.
They're actually probably losing money on that deal.
For sure. But James is super excited about it. He's picked out the cuts. He's all into it.
Nice.
My husband is very excited because he loves prime rib, and it's twice the price anywhere else.
Totally.
So go to Pressbox Friday night, guys. Get that prime rib. And they also have a great selection of wine in there. So, and that happy hour deal. If you go at 5:00, you get the $3 draft and a $29 prime rib. I don't know where else you could get that kind of deal.
So here's your Friday night. You go down the press box. let's say about 4:35. Get yourself some $3 beers, have a prime rib, then walk over, watch the Grizz spring game, 6 p.m., watch the Grizzly Stadium. It only lasts like an hour and a half. Go back, have yourself a little nightcap, go home. You're in bed by 8:30. You already had prime rib and a couple beers.
Oh, my God, that's the best night ever. Seriously.
Great night.
I just want to be in bed by 8:30. That's where you got me.
All right. What else you got this week?
Okay, so the Nuggets coach got fired 6 days, with 6 days left of the season.
Totally mind-blowing.
So,
and it's not like the Nuggets are bad. The Nuggets are like one of the top contenders in the NBA. They have one of the best players in the NBA. They've won Mike Malone won a championship.
Right.
So.
And then the GM, his contract was not extended.
So there's a lot of rumors that. So the GM and Mike Malone, Calvin Booth and Mike Malone are. It's well known that they hate each other and that they would talk nothing but smack about each other behind closed doors and behind each other's backs.
Okay.
The rumor is that the owner was like, I can't deal with this anymore. You guys are both out. I'm just going to figure out better people to run these jobs.
I mean, that's what I do to my kids when they fight. You're both in your rooms.
You're both in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
this is a bizarre deal. This is the second coach this has happened to. The Grizzlies fired their coach less than a week before that, and they are also in contention in the Western Conference.
Well, here's the other thing. Mike Malone, is that his name?
Michael Malone, yep.
After they won the championship, he got a Nuggets tattoo.
Oh, boy.
Now, the person who gave him that tattoo said that he will cover it for free.
Wow.
So.
You see Pete Davidson removing all his tattoos?
Yeah.
Weird.
He wants to be a movie star.
He's too ugly for that, right? That's so mean to say.
I think he could be a character actor.
Yeah. I mean, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's dated some of the hottest women in the world. So
exactly.
who am I to say he's not good looking?
Yeah, rude.
Sorry.
We don't comment on looks.
The text thread's blowing up right now. You're on TV every day.
By one person. Yeah, so he's got that tattoo. This is why I think, don't ever get your wife's name or girlfriend's name on your body. You know what I mean?
Just don't get a tattoo.
Well, that's fine too. I mean, I don't hate tattoos. I just think, I guess he could keep the Nuggets tattoo. It signifies a special time in his life.
Sure.
But he might be too bitter. That might be tough to look at.
Yeah, it's tough. He did win a championship, and there's in the NBA, only about half the teams, half the franchises have ever won championships because Boston and LA have won half of them themselves. And he's the first coach to ever win a championship with the Denver Nuggets. So,
yeah
he's going to go down in history. So, I don't know. I'd probably just keep it.
I'm wondering if something scandalous happened.
Man.
Like a Me Too situation.
I just don't think so.
Okay.
I obviously don't know Michael Malone personally, but he seems like a guy that just would do nothing but basketball. I don't think he has really any other pursuits or anything like that. He just coached basketball, and I don't know. One of the main things you always look at in these, because the inmates run the asylum in the NBA.
Right.
The superstars do.
Right.
But Jokic just isn't, he's too aloof to actually even care. He's just balling. He doesn't care who his coach is. LeBron has orchestrated his coach getting fired so many times and, outwardly speaks about it when it happens, and he picks the next guy, and it's happened a bunch. That's just not the case with Jokic. He's just out there hooping.
I think what I read was that Jokic really likes him, and that's the only coach he's really ever had.
That's right.
So
yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with him.
This is a super weird situation.
Yeah.
I actually can't wait for there to have more come out about it because, right now the Nuggets are 48-25. They are right in the mix. I think that they could be a contender in the Western Conference. So.
Well, I hope it's something dramatic and scandalous.
Jokic had a hilarious quote last night. He was talking about how when wild animals are cornered, that's when they're at their best, and he was comparing this to that. So maybe the ownership does have a method to their madness. Maybe they just simply fired him because they wanted to give the team a jolt. They were on a 4-game losing streak. They've won back-to-back games. So
okay, we'll see.
All right.
Okay,
Chicken Doesn't Know Sports here on ESPN Radio. What else you got?
LeBron got his own Barbie, Le Ken. He is a Ken-bassador.
What does that mean?
So Mattel and Barbie are creating Barbies based on Kens it's 2025. It could really be whatever, you know. But based on the celebrity, and their proceeds of the doll goes to whatever the nonprofit is. So in LeBron's case, it goes to LeBron James Family Foundation, which empowers the kids of Akron, Ohio, which is where he's from. It's $75. The detail on this is exquisite, according to the World Wide Web. One of my favorite comments on the bottom of the story about this was, I hope people don't drop this doll because it was smashed into a million pieces and cry because, LeBron's so fragile. You're not even paying attention to me. This is what I deal with,
Yes,
guys.
I am. I'm totally paying attention to you because LeBron flops all the time. So they're saying like he's a made of glass doll. I have such a struggle with that part of this whole deal because LeBron is he's a drama queen when it comes to like the flopping and
right.
Also, he's a victim of how big he is. Because even when he does get actually fouled or he actually does get thrown on the ground, people still are like, look at you, look how soft you are. Because, he's 6'9", 260. Like, he's just so huge that people just don't believe that he could...
He might just lose balance because it's...
Right, they just don't believe... Like, they think he's a Superman, and he is like a supreme human, but he's not a superhero. Like, he actually is a human. I don't know. I get the... This is the favorite argument of all old heads that love the old school NBA compared to the new school NBA. No matter if it's a target at LeBron or anybody else. These guys are so soft. The rules are so much different. Jordan would have scored 100 on these guys. Jordan and Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen are so much tougher. I don't know. Like, I think that it's a very... This has happened for 100 years in America, where the last generation thinks that the new generation is soft.
Right.
Like, think about how soft we are compared to our grandparents.
Right.
Both my granddads were in World War II. Like, I'm just sitting here going to college and writing on my laptop and reading books. These guys were literally on battleships in the middle of the ocean, like fighting for the freedom of America. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, we're all soft compared to that. So, I don't know. I just try to take LeBron for what he's worth. It's become like this trendy thing to hate LeBron. Like, half the people in the country probably hate LeBron, which is so unfortunate to me because I feel like we should just appreciate him.
Are you going to buy a LeKen doll?
No, I'm definitely not going to buy a LeKen doll. Are they funny looking?
No.
Is it like a good rendition?
It's a great rendition. In fact,
Right.
they have such detail on the shoes. I guess he writes on his shoes before every game, so they have like little scribble marks on his shoes, and they have his beard, and it's fine. I'm not into Barbie and Ken. I was, but I wouldn't buy this.
I'm surprised that Barbie and Ken is like still around.
Why?
I don't know. It feels like something that people would cancel. Didn't they try to cancel Mr. Potato Head?
What?
I don't know.
I know that people were upset about Barbie's dimensions because the boobs were so much bigger than her waist, and that wasn't realistic. But I can tell you, as a child growing up playing with Barbie, I didn't think I was ever going to look like Barbie. Her feet are also in a full high heel, like stuck in a high heel position. I wasn't thinking like that was something that was going to happen.
Did you like or dislike the Barbie movie?
I didn't see it.
Whoa. Wow. I got it.
I like the music.
I understood what they were going for. Wasn't my favorite. Didn't like it. Didn't hate it. Thought it was fine. Thought it was well done.
Yeah, I've heard it was great and all that. I started to watch it when I was on the treadmill one day, and I just couldn't get hooked.
Well, my wife hated it. So
did she?
I actually did not watch it with her. I watched it by myself.
You did?
And because I just heard so much about it.
Yeah.
My brother loved it. My brother and his wife loved it, and they were like, "You got to watch it." And I got what they were going for. I'm looking at this doll, though. This actually is a pretty dang good rendition of LeBron.
Yeah. LeKen.
Okay, so if you were world famous and they wanted to make a doll out of you, would you do it?
Yeah.
This seems weird.
Make money.
LeBron's definitely making money.
Well,
He's definitely good
the
at that.
proceeds for this are going to his charity, so I do appreciate that.
Yep.
But yeah, I think I'd do a doll, not like a life size, sure, but just like a little doll would be cute.
I know we're definitely getting texts right now from people because LeBron is like the #1 lightning rod for sports talk radio. It's just hilarious. I know people are texting in like, I hate LeBron. Why are you talking about LeBron? He does this, he does that, he flops, he's soft, blah, blah, blah. The point I always make about LeBron is that there has been a variety of people that have reached the fame level of LeBron James in America over the last 40 or 50 years, and pretty much every single one of them has imploded into becoming like a complete disaster.
Yeah.
We made him famous when he was 15, and he has not imploded yet. For that alone, he deserves all the credit in the world.
He's got There's some great qualities there.
Totally.
So I like LeBron. I don't have a problem with him. I mean, I think it's funny to make fun of his flopping.
Totally.
I see your point with that, but I like.
No, he does flop. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to justify that he doesn't. He does. He's a huge actor.
Yeah, but I like him.
But turn out fair play too, right? Like part of it's just being crafty. Like he gets the call half the time. So
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's been married to the same woman. He's
built schools.
He's got a great family.
Exactly.
He's I think one of his managers is like his childhood friend. Like, I mean, he's got his head on straight. So
no doubt,
I like it.
Those guys have taken their opportunity and elevated it significantly. So that's pretty cool as well. All right, Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, the ESPN MT app, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook Live. We're on everything. Thanks, Tommy. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Jeff, for getting us all modernized. Carol Inchik doesn't know sports. First time on video. What else you got?
Tyreek Hill and his wife are getting divorced.
I'm shocked by this. Had children with multiple different women while being married.
Well, one of the reasons she's upset is he's not spending enough quality time with his daughter. To that, I say, which one?
Right.
And which woman? Because he has 7 children with several different women. So how do you spend time with all these kids if they're all living in different houses? I'm not saying she doesn't have a reason to get divorced, because I believe one of the children was born while they were engaged, if I remember correctly, from the other woman. So I think you know what you're getting into when you have a situation like that.
Wasn't the report last year that he had 5 kids in 1 year?
It was something insane like that.
Man.
And one woman had a son and then a set of twins with him.
Jeez.
So he's a busy boy. And
sounds like a fundamental misunderstanding of how it all works.
Yeah, maybe a condom company could sponsor him.
I don't know if we could say that.
Why?
I don't know. Anyways, Tyreek Hill.
Why are you so red?
Well, I don't know. Spend more time with your kids, I guess, or have less kids so you can spend time with. I don't know.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to tell him how to live.
This is a world that I'm never going to live in, so I don't really know.
I'm not going to tell him how to live his life, but I will say his wife knew what was happening. So that's all. And so I'm sure she's going to get a great payout in the end.
If only it wasn't all about that, or if that wasn't the salvaging reward. All right, what else you got?
Is it Jay Morant?
Ja.
Oh, I was going to say Ja, and then I thought you were going to make fun of me.
Ja Morant.
Okay, so he got in trouble a couple weeks ago for doing gun fingers after he
has gotten in trouble with. He's also gotten in trouble with actual guns multiple times. So that's why he got in trouble with the gun fingers, because they're like, dude, you got to stop doing this stuff.
Hold on. If he had not gotten in trouble with real guns, is the gun finger thing okay?
Probably not, but they definitely came down on him way harder.
Okay.
The league wants to build their image. They wanted to build their image around Ja Morant. Like this whole who's going to be the next face of the NBA when LeBron and Kevin Durant and Steph Curry are done. Because those guys are all old now. I mean, LeBron's been in the league for, 22 years? Kevin Durant's been in the league for 18 or 19. Steph Curry's been in the league for 18 years. It's not going to last forever. These guys are towards the end.
Right.
He was one of the guys that's like the future face of the NBA. And he had like a $100 million shoe deal. And I mean, he's exciting, he's explosive, he's handsome, he's got all these different things going for him. And he's just trying to run this car straight off the edge of the cliff. I just don't understand why he's doing this.
Well, last night, instead of the gun finger, he did a grenade.
Did you hear the commentary?
No. How would I have heard the commentary?
Well, because the Instagram was, there was like an Instagram reel trolling the commentators.
Okay.
So Ja takes the fake grenade, pulls it with his teeth, and throws it into the crowd. The clearly very old and not engaged announcer was like, oh, man, I got to ask Ja Morant about that celebration afterwards. I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, my God.
Andrew sent it to me, and he was just dying laughing at how out of touch this guy was.
You'd think he'd know. I mean, he's probably a nom.
Yeah, so Ja needs to reel it in for sure.
Why do you think he's doing this? What's up? Let's get deep into his brain.
Holy cow.
Do you think he's self-sabotaging?
This is actually like maybe a little bit of a tenuous subject to talk about, but
what else is new?
Just in terms of my theories on all this.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Remember when, how much do you know about Tupac?
A little.
So Tupac grew up the son of two people that were very politically engaged and certainly on the forefront of civil rights and advocacy for Black Americans. But he also, I don't think you could describe grew up it. He wasn't a gangster like a lot of the guys in NWA was. Even if he grew up close to the streets or with knowledge of the streets or whatever, he grew up in a probably more structured family, even though his parents were certainly on the forefront. Tupac had this whole phase in his life too, where he was trying to prove that he was like harder than he really is, or that he was like from the streets, or like he wanted to be like the gangster rappers who were actually in gangs. Even though he wasn't. And I think that most people that were consuming his music didn't see him as a poser, but I think a lot of his peers did. It's very similar to like when Kobe Bryant was in the NBA. He had this phase too where he's like trying to prove he's playing with all these guys that are actually from the hood.
Got it.
I'm reading this great book called 3 Ring Circus by Jeff Pearlman. It's all about the Lakers from 1996 to 2004 when they drafted Kobe, traded for Shaq, and then they went on their great run. And the part I'm at right now is Kobe's like 20 or 21, and he's trying to fit in with all his teammates, so he's trying to act like he's this dude like from the hood. And Samaki Walker like pulls him aside and is like, bro, I'm from the projects, and you don't want to be from the projects. You're like, your dad played in the NBA, and you grew up in Italy. Like, just act like how you are, man. This isn't how you are. You don't need to do this. Like, you don't need to do all the swearing and all the, just betting everybody on everything and trying to be this guy that you're not. I just wonder if that's Ja too. I just wonder if he has an identity crisis. Like, he's just from small town Kentucky. Like, he's not. I don't know. Yeah. He's projecting and living a lifestyle that I think is inauthentic to probably who he really is.
Well, that's too bad because he's got an opportunity here in the NBA to like be positive and be a positive role model or, just positive force. And he's not doing that. So clean it up, Jay.
Well, Ja. The number one thing Ja Morant can do to help himself is play. He just needs to play.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of your guys that's
sits out
all the time. He's got to play.
Okay, well.
That's the first step. Play and just concentrate on the basketball. Because guess what? If you concentrate on the basketball, you're going to make so much money, then you can retire when you're like 35 and do whatever you want forever, and so can everybody else in your family for the rest of their lives. So,
do professional sports teams have therapists and psychiatrists on staff?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm just wondering if maybe someone could crack the code here.
I mean, being an NBA coach is largely being a psychiatrist.
Yeah. And like you said, the asylums or the inmates are running the asylum.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're not, but it seems like some of these guys could use a little talk therapy.
I think that's right. I also think that I'm not one to judge because I also think that if you evolve within your environment. So the things that are around you and that are influencing you might dictate or at least influence how you act. So who's to know like what Ja Morant has been surrounded by for his NBA career? There's also just the part that giving young men tens of millions of dollars is like, I think a lot of us would act a little weird or have identity crises and stuff like that. I just don't think that it's like, that's the part the NBA has been trying to get locked in for so long, and I just don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Like, they make these guys go to this rookie symposium to tell them all this stuff. They try to set them up with these finance guys. But it's like, I don't really care how responsible you are. Even if you're out there and you're 40 years old and you're a really fiscally responsible person, when you were 19 or 20 or 21 and somebody gave you like $15 million, you would screw up so bad. Like, we all would.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wonder if that's part of it. Too. I love Ja Morant. I hope he figures it out because I do think that he could be one of the future faces of the NBA. But he is like treading right on the line where a couple more missteps and that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Okay. Carol, it's just no sports here on ESPN Radio. We're going to yoga.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I haven't been in a little while.
You were just doing the downward dog out in the hall?
I've been lifting really hard and I like busted my elbow yesterday just doing way too much weight. Tricep extensions. I don't know. It's meathead stuff. That's what happens when you're an offensive lineman. But going to go sweat it out the yoga today. It's a great place to unwind, great place to get a great workout. We're going, what are we doing today? Yoga sculpt. So it's like yoga with a little bit of fitness in there too. And
some weights.
It's really good. It's really good for you. Great for your mobility, great for your fitness levels, great for your
mind,
centering, your mind, relaxation, your mind.
Hot House Yoga, downtown Missoula. Check it out.
And also go check out that prime rib special at the press box on Friday nights. And if you line it up on a Friday, with the $3 beers, you're going to have yourself a great night with $3 beers and less than $30 prime rib. You're not going to find that really anywhere in Missoula. Anything else this week?
That's all I got.
Great on-camera debut, Carolyn.
Thanks.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. So if something happens to your tire on the road, we'll fix it, or we'll replace it, no questions asked. Other places make you pay extra for that kind of protection, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from Les.
Attention, your locally owned and nationally known mattress firm thanks the Missoula community for 10 years of amazing support and growth. There's a huge remodel sale blowout before the doors close for their 2-week remodel. All inventory must go. Mattresses, adjustable bases, accessories, all drastically marked down to clear the showroom. Save it to 60% off on top name brands. If you've been waiting for that amazing deal, now is the time. Mattress Firm's remodel sale only April 1st through the 15th.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Whoa.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Sentinel's Geffen Guccio broke a 50-year-old school record, and Corvallis' Hunter Loesch notched a javelin mark that's nationally ranked this weekend. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Guccio, a Missoula Sentinel senior, shattered the school record in the pole vault that stood for 50 years. Guccio cleared 15 feet 6 inches, breaking the former record of 14 feet held by Ted Paulette since 1975. It's the top mark in Montana in the pole vault this spring, making him the favorite to earn gold at the state AA meet next month in Kalispell. Loesch, a senior at Corvallis High, is the first Montanan with a legitimately eye-opening mark this spring, as the javelin thrower uncorked a throw of 204 feet 4 inches at the Hamilton Bronx Invitational on April 4th. That throw is the second longest in the nation this spring and the longest in Montana since 2019, according to Athletic.net. Loesch's previous personal best throw was 189 feet 4 inches, and he started the spring with throws of 186.2 and 186.8. The 200-foot throw is the first over 200 feet since 2019, when both Glacier's Evan Todd and Sentinel's Rylan Ort surpassed the coveted distance. A few other throwers have had strong marks so far this spring, as Bozeman Gallatin's Jack Murray, the all-class record holder in the discus, has a state best throw of 168 feet 3 inches, and Polson's Aston Brown is the first shot putter to go over 55 feet with a heave of 58 feet 9 inches, the top throw in Montana this spring.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Well, welcome back in here on a Thursday afternoon. This is Jeff Safford here with you, 102.9 ESPN Radio, the ESPN MT app, SWX, streaming on Twitch and YouTube. Glad to have you along with us as we roll along here on this edition of Nuanez Now. If you missed anything from this iteration of it, it is available on the podcast, which will be available right after the show gets off the air, brought to you by Elevated Tax, the M Store, and the MSU Bookstore. Shifting now to Montana Grizzly lacrosse. It will be a trek out east for Grizzlax this weekend, second year in a row that they've made the trip out to Glendive, Montana. Town of about 5,000 folks, maybe a few folks joining us from out there just outside the Badlands. Should be a lot of fun. Montana State will also be out there along with North Dakota State and the University of Denver. And to get us ready for that matchup, I visited with Grizz lacrosse goalie Joey Kortner, coming off a awesome weekend in which he had a game where he had a save percentage over 80% in a victory over the number 11 ranked College of Idaho last Friday evening in Washington Grizzlies Stadium, and in a losing effort against a top 5 ranked Northwest Nazarene squad. A real good game, really stayed between 2 or 3 goals most of the way. Kortner made an astounding 40 saves for Grizzly lacrosse, a new program best for Kortner, and for his efforts, he was named the MCLA Division II Pearl Goalie of the Week. Awesome accolades for Joey Kortner. Again, a nationwide award for him. So, getting you ready for action against North Dakota State Saturday afternoon and the University of Denver on Sunday morning. Here's my conversation with the sophomore goalie out of Spokane, Washington, Joey Kortner. One more road trip, at least for the regular season, for Montana Grizzly lacrosse. You'll see all the action, Grizzlax.com and the ESPN MT app. Coming from the Badlands, close to North Dakota this weekend. Second year in a row, this will be an idea for Montana Grizzly lacrosse. Also, the Bobcats from the other side of the divide will be making their way out to Glendive, Montana for what's dubbed as the Battle of the Badlands. And they won't be alone. The Bobcats and Grizzlies won't be playing one another, but they both will see North Dakota State and a new outfit in the MCLA. They have an NCAA program, very solid one. The Pioneers of the University of Denver will also be out there. So what an opportunity for that small community of about 5,000 people to see some high-level lacrosse. This past weekend, a win over a number 11 ranked team in the College of Idaho, and then going toe-to-toe with the defending conference champions, Northwest Nazarene, in a loss on Saturday. But still, a weekend that the Grizzlies feel good about. And a big reason why, their netminder Joey Kortner with us here on ESPN Missoula to talk about the season and look ahead at what's to come for Montana Grizzly lacrosse. Joey, thanks for coming in and joining us today.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
So, it was a big weekend for the Grizzlies. A game on Friday night honoring the senior class. Just take us through what your mindset was going into that game and maybe take us into your head, so to speak, of how you were able to play such a great game. Save percentage over 70% in that win against the Yotes, only allowing 4 goals.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of just trying to help out the seniors, trying to see how long our season can last, and I wasn't really trying to do anything personally. I was just trying to help the team win, and I think offense played great. I think defense played great, and I think it was just a fun game all around.
Now, the defense, I think it's been a little bit of a, I'd say, growing period for them, thinking about games they've had this year where things didn't go your way in a contest against Florida Atlantic. Also, Utah State having big numbers offensively, but seemingly your entire defensive unit has been able to take some big strides this season, highlighted by the performance, again, holding the College of Idaho to 4 goals, and then Northwest Nazarene, just an offensive monster, featuring all this talent all over the field. Where have you seen the growth in the defense this season so far?
Definitely in communication. It's started off pretty weak in the early season, and then it's really progressed from there. We've worked a whole lot of new sets, which is nice, and that's kind of something that's been clicking a lot lately. So that's been really helping us as a team kind of mesh and flow. So, yeah, it's exciting to see.
And in those 2 games against the College of Idaho and Northwest Nazarene. You yourself averaged nearly 30 saves per game, a save percentage over 70%, which for the game of lacrosse is outstanding. And for your efforts, you were recognized nationally by the MCLA, received the Pearl National Goalie of the Week award. What were your thoughts on that award, and who did you think had a big impact in it, obviously, besides yourself?
I think the defense definitely helped a lot. We've been running a lot of zone defense lately, and that's been helping just get a lot of outside shots, and I think that's been making the saves a lot easier than having a whole lot of inside shots. So it's nice to see. So it's a lot less angle and a lot farther away, so that's been helping me a ton. So I couldn't have done it without their help. They've been playing great.
In between the pipes for the Montana Grizzly lacrosse team, Joey Kortner with us here on ESPN Missoula, sophomore goalie with Grizzly lacrosse as they look to wrap up their regular season this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, out in Glendive, Montana. Now, we'll take a bit of a step back. I mentioned this is your second season with the program. Spent most of last year behind senior goalie, a guy that had been with the Grizz program for a number of years, Hunter Heaston, for the bulk of last year. But when you got to the national tournament last year, surprisingly from my point of view, you got the start in that contest. What did you think when that moment occurred, and was that a point for you where you were able to gain some confidence going into this season?
Well, I was really excited to kind of get a little, game to play. But, yeah, it was nice. It was kind of not the best circumstances. Hunter was kind of hurt and couldn't really play as well as he wanted to, so he kind of said, hey, you're going to want to step in. So it was great to see that he had confidence in me, and that gave me a little bit of confidence too. But, I couldn't have done it without Hunter's help, honestly. He's been great. Even now, especially last year, he was a really great mentor and put me under his wing and helped me out a lot, and I grew a lot last year, and really thankful for that.
Now, I know Hunter Heaston also is still around here locally working with some high school lacrosse players. Is he someone that you still look at as someone you can go to it for advice and that sort of thing?
Yeah, most definitely. I text him a lot, and even like today, I kind of texted him just like, hey, kind of wondering what I could do different and maybe grow a little bit. And so, I text him a lot and just check in, see what I can do different, what I can do better. But
now, obviously, this Grizz lacrosse program is a bit unique in terms of the amount of support that it has, and that was surely put on full display at the end-of-season banquet on Saturday. Literally hundreds of folks coming out, alumni, supporters of the team, parents, friends even of current players on the roster I visited with. What is that like, just to be able to be a part of a program like that, and how did you learn about this special program here in Montana?
It's awesome to be part of it. I mean, the people are great, coaches are great, a lot of opportunities, like even just in the outdoors, like with the rafting trip and all that. And then, I learned about it. Just a lot of buddies from Spokane who went and played. So Will Ladyman and Bo Sterling are people I grew up playing with,
sure,
hung out with. So they told me about it, and I, fell in love with it.
Joey Kortner with Grizzly Lacrosse here with us, getting us ready for a Battle of the Badlands on the ESPN MT app. Montana will face off with North Dakota State Saturday and then wrap up their weekend opposite the University of Denver. Now, specifically looking at Saturday's matchup, the Bison, a team that you're very familiar with. You faced off with them last season, actually in this same matchup in Glendive. The Bison, a nationally ranked team, and for the most part, it will be ranked opponents looking at these two games coming up and most likely in the regular season finale as well at the PNCLLs. So how do you think that this weekend in the Badlands will be a good warm-up, so to speak, looking at tournament play?
It's going to be a test for sure. It'll be challenging. I know that NDSU has a great 10-man ride, and that's a tough one to go against for sure. But, I'm really excited to see how it's going to go. I got faith in the team, so.
Now, I mentioned you spent last season behind Hunter Houston for a bulk of it, and you had a first-eye point of view in this matchup last year, game won by the Bison 16-12, I believe the final score of that one in Glendive last year. What do you remember from that game last year, and do you carry anything into this matchup this season? I know a lot of returners on that NDSU roster.
They got great shooters. They love shooting from outside, and really physical team. So it'll be a tough one for sure. But yeah, I think we got a good chance.
And the Pioneers also, the University of Denver, kind of an interesting story. They've been a highlight program in NCAA lacrosse for a large chunk of time, really in a lot of ways, carrying the flag for NCAA lacrosse in the West. And now they have a team in the MCLA. Do you think that they'll be a good addition to this level of lacrosse as well? And what are you looking for to see in your first matchup with the Pioneers, a team that comes in to this weekend with a 4-game winning streak?
Yeah, no, they seem like a great team. I think it's going to be, a tough game. It's going to be a tough game, but I'm excited for it.
Last couple things for Grizzly lacrosse goalie Joey Kortner, sophomore with the Grizz here on ESPN Missoula, will be a noon face-off on Saturday, and then I guess you call it brunch battle Sunday against the Pioneers of Denver. One last trip in the regular season, one last trek. It's been kind of the theme with this team, if you've been following along, thinking about trips to Minot, Alabama, Bellingham, Washington, and now just checking off Eastern Montana. But do you think that this will be another opportunity for your team to come together off the field as well and just continue to grow as a squad with this trip to Glendive?
Yeah, no, I think so for sure. I think Glendive is an awesome place, and I think it was really fun last year, and I'm super excited for this year too. So
looking at it, do you think if you could think of one thing as a goal for this team to get yourselves in where exactly you want to be at the end of the season, what would that be?
Make it to nationals would be great. I think we just got to play for each other because there's a lot of love for this team, and kids are great, and it's fun.
Joey Kortner with Grizzly Lacrosse. Catch him in between the pipes Saturday and Sunday opposite the Bison Saturday afternoon. Noon face-off there at Perrin Field. And then a 10 a.m. face-off with the Pioneers on Sunday. The final 2 regular season games ahead of the conference tournament in the PNCLL that will be after the Easter weekend. Joey, thanks for coming into the studio and talking with us today.
Hey, of course. Thanks for having me.
For 20 years, there's been a sound that's helped define Missoula. A sound as unique as the people who call this place home. The Trail 103.3. We're grateful. We're honored. We remain true to the community and true to the music. Tune in for the celebration. Tune in for the party. Tune in for the next 20 years. We can hardly wait.
I can't wait.
The Trail 103.3.
In the Treasure State, University of Montana football is a way of life. Lithia Ford has long been a proud sponsor of Grizz football, and Lithia Ford of Missoula is thrilled to have several of the best Montana football seniors driving the best trucks in Montana. Aspen Sound is the premier car audio and accessory shop in Montana. Aspen Sound makes sure the boys are riding in style with tinted windows and state-of-the-art stereo systems. There's always a party in Montana. Whether you're going to a concert, a wedding, or a football game, the Montana Party Bus will get you there. Skyline Sports and ESPN MT cover the big sky with more depth than anyone. Check out SkylineSportsMT.com and tune in to Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula every day. My Montana Roots and Wear Your Roots clothing is your go-to spot for the most unique and comfortable lifestyle clothing you'll find anywhere. And get your custom t-shirts to support your favorite player. From 5 local businesses who love Montana, best of luck to the Grizz as they pursue another Big Sky Conference championship.
Attention, your locally owned and nationally known mattress firm thanks the Missoula community for 10 years of amazing support and growth. There's a huge remodel sale blowout before the doors close for their 2-week remodel. All inventory must go. Mattresses, adjustable bases, accessories, all drastically marked down to clear the showroom. Save it to 60% off on top name brands. If you've been waiting for that amazing deal, now is the time. Mattress Firm's remodel sale only April 1st through the 15th.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
So, Montana, welcome back. Thanks for rocking out with us here on a Thursday. You're listening to Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, the ESPN MT app, as well as our YouTube and Twitch streams. Thanks for being with us here. You're listening to Andrew Houghton behind the glass here. Just a minute left in the show. It was a great show. If you missed anything, you can find it on the Nuanez Now podcast. It's brought to you by the M Store, the MSU Bookstore, and Elevated Tax and Accounting. We talked some NBA in Hour 1. We talked some Grizz Spring Football. Will be live from Washington Grizzly Stadium tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m., leading up to the Montana Grizzlies spring game, and we'll be talking a ton of Grizz football during that show as well with Colter Nuanez, so tune in to that tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m., but we talk some Grizz defensive line in the first hour. Also caught up on the best track times and marks from around the state. In prep, track, and field second hour, Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports. Thanks to Carolyn for giving us some laughs here on Thursday. And we also just caught up along with Jeff Safford with Grizz lacrosse goalie Joey Kortner, who's coming off a week that won him a national award. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to you for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. live from Washington Grizzly Stadium before the Montana Grizzlies spring game. But that'll do it for us here today. This has been Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.